A wedding invitation arrived with a name no one expected, and before the sun had reached its highest point, an entire family was standing in silence as a young woman realized the man she was supposed to marry was not the one who truly understood her heart. What began as a celebration of security and second chances quickly became a heartbreaking test of loyalty, sacrifice, and the painful difference between doing what was expected and doing what was right. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing community. Harold Whitmore had spent decades building one of the most respected architectural firms in the city. At 62, he was admired for his discipline, generosity, and calm wisdom. After losing his wife several years earlier, he devoted himself almost entirely to work, convincing everyone, including himself, that love had become a closed chapter in his life. His only son, Adrian Whitmore, respected his father deeply. At 31, Adrian had chosen a different path, working as a community planner who believed neighborhoods should be designed for families instead of profits. Though father and son occasionally disagreed about business, their bond was built on honesty and mutual admiration. When Harold announced that he intended to marry again, Adrian was surprised but genuinely happy for him. His father deserved companionship, and everyone hoped this new beginning would fill the quiet spaces that grief had left behind. The bride-to-be was named Celeste Rowan, a thoughtful, compassionate woman in her early 30s who managed a charitable foundation dedicated to restoring libraries and community centers. Friends admired her for her intelligence more than her beauty, though both were impossible to ignore. She had spent years caring for an ailing aunt before finally allowing herself to imagine a future of her own. Their engagement had not grown from passionate romance. Instead, it had begun through mutual respect. Harold admired Celeste's integrity, while Celeste appreciated his kindness and stability. They believed affection would deepen with time. It seemed like a sensible decision between two mature adults seeking companionship rather than fairy tale excitement. During the months leading to the wedding, Adrian and Celeste naturally spent time together while helping organize family gatherings, charity events, and preparations for the ceremony. Harold often encouraged it, grateful that the two most important people in his future were building a comfortable friendship. That friendship became something neither of them expected. It began with long afternoons restoring an abandoned neighborhood park that Harold's company had agreed to fund. Adrian worked alongside volunteers instead of directing them from a distance. Celeste admired how easily he listened to children explaining where they wanted new swings or elderly residents requesting shaded benches. He never acted as though his education or family name made him more important than anyone else. Adrian noticed how Celeste quietly remembered every volunteer's name, thanked every donor personally, and treated the smallest contribution with genuine appreciation. She never sought attention for her generosity. Their conversations became effortless. They discussed books, architecture, childhood memories, fears about growing older, and dreams they had quietly abandoned. Yet every meaningful conversation ended with the same uncomfortable realization. She was engaged to his father. Neither crossed any emotional boundaries intentionally. They avoided private dinners, intimate moments, or anything that might disrespect Harold. Whenever they sensed emotions becoming complicated, they redirected conversations toward work or family. Both believed distance would solve what honesty demanded they ignore. Harold, meanwhile, noticed only that his son and fiancée got along wonderfully. It filled him with relief. He had worried that introducing a younger woman into the family might create tension. Instead, he believed they were becoming the supportive family he had always hoped for. As the wedding approached, however, subtle changes became impossible to ignore. Celeste smiled less when discussing the ceremony. Adrian accepted assignments that kept him away from family gatherings. Their laughter became careful rather than spontaneous. Joy had quietly been replaced by guilt. One bright afternoon, while preparing books for a children's reading festival sponsored by the foundation, Celeste found herself staring out the large windows as sunlight filled the room. She realized she was imagining a future she could never allow herself to have. The realization frightened her. She had entered the engagement honestly. Harold had done nothing wrong. He was decent, respectful, patient, and generous. He deserved complete devotion, not divided emotions. That afternoon she made perhaps the hardest decision of her life. Instead of allowing the wedding to continue under false hopes, she requested a private daytime meeting with Harold in the sunlit garden outside his office. She did not accuse anyone. She did not make excuses. She simply admitted that although she respected him deeply, she had discovered she could never become the wife he truly deserved because her heart had become confused in ways she never intended. Harold listened quietly. Years of experience had taught him that truth often hurt more than lies, yet it healed far better. He asked only one question. Had anyone betrayed his trust? Celeste answered honestly. No promises had been broken. No secret relationship had existed. No declarations had been made. Only feelings neither of them had invited nor encouraged. Harold thanked her for her honesty. His heart broke anyway. Ending the engagement became one of the most painful decisions he had ever made, but he refused to build a marriage upon obligation instead of genuine love. When Adrian learned the engagement had ended, he was devastated for his father. Convinced he had caused unbearable pain, Adrian immediately packed his belongings and accepted a planning position in another state. He believed leaving was the only honorable decision. Harold discovered his packed suitcases before Adrian reached the front door. Father and son stood facing each other in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the living room windows. No angry accusations followed. No shouting. Only heartbreaking honesty. Adrian admitted he had tried desperately not to develop feelings. He had avoided opportunities to spend time with Celeste whenever possible. He had buried his emotions because his father mattered more than his own happiness. Harold believed him. He had watched his son his entire life. He knew the difference between selfishness and silent suffering. For the first time since the engagement ended, Harold allowed himself to speak openly. He confessed that although he admired Celeste enormously, he had begun noticing something missing long before she spoke the truth. Their relationship had been built on compatibility rather than deep emotional connection. He realized he had mistaken gratitude and companionship for lasting love because loneliness can sometimes disguise itself as certainty. The cancelled wedding had wounded his pride more than his heart. That realization surprised even him. Months passed. Harold focused on expanding scholarship programs through his company. Adrian remained away, believing distance would help everyone heal. Celeste devoted herself entirely to charitable work, refusing every invitation to reconnect with Adrian because she believed time and respect were necessary before anyone considered a future together. Nearly a year later, all three reunited at the grand opening of the restored community park they had helped design together. Children laughed across new playgrounds. Families filled picnic tables. Senior citizens read beneath shaded trees. The place represented everything they had worked for. Watching hundreds of strangers enjoying the space, Harold smiled more sincerely than he had in months. He saw Adrian speaking with local families. He saw Celeste distributing books to excited children. And he finally understood something profound. Love should never be forced into the wrong place simply because it arrived at the wrong time. After the ceremony ended, Harold approached them both. He thanked Adrian for becoming the man his late mother would have admired. He thanked Celeste for choosing honesty before marriage instead of pretending afterward. Then, with quiet grace, he told them neither of them owed him a lifetime of guilt. His forgiveness became the greatest gift either had ever received. Even then, Adrian and Celeste did not rush into romance. Several more months passed. Only after Harold encouraged them to stop living according to yesterday's mistakes did they cautiously begin spending time together again. Their relationship developed slowly, respectfully, and openly. Every important step was shared honestly with Harold, whose blessing came not from resignation but from genuine peace. Harold eventually discovered happiness himself in unexpected ways. Rather than searching desperately for another marriage, he built deeper friendships, traveled with longtime colleagues, mentored young architects, and became the grandfather figure to countless scholarship students whose lives he transformed. His home was no longer silent because it was frequently filled with people grateful for his wisdom. Years later, when Adrian and Celeste married in a bright countryside ceremony beneath clear afternoon skies, Harold proudly walked beside them, not as a defeated father, but as a man who had learned that real love is never measured by possession. It is measured by the courage to let people choose happiness honestly. The wedding guests often remarked that they had never seen three people smile with such genuine peace after such complicated circumstances. Their story spread quietly through friends and neighbors because it reminded everyone that integrity sometimes demands painful sacrifices before joy can finally arrive. Not every broken engagement ends in bitterness. Not every unexpected feeling must become betrayal. Sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to build a future upon a lie, even when the truth costs everyone dearly. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment and tell us this: do you believe honesty should always come before obligation, even when it risks breaking someone's heart? As the years passed, the Whitmore family became stronger rather than divided because they chose compassion over resentment, truth over appearances, and forgiveness over bitterness. Harold found purpose beyond loneliness, Adrian learned that love must always be guided by honor, and Celeste proved that genuine integrity means telling the truth before it is too late. Together they showed that second chances are not about erasing the past but about building a future worthy of the lessons it teaches. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that honesty, forgiveness, and courage can transform even the most painful moments into the beginning of something truly beautiful.